On the very same weekend that Spider-Man Brand New Day broke box office records and beat Kevin Feige's Avengers Endgame, Marvel ended the show of the director who made Spider-Man Brand New Day. The timing could not be clearer. It's a shot across the bow from head honcho Kevin Feige towards the man leading the web slinger. But now Sony is striking back. Today we'll tell you what they have to say and why Tom Holland just might be in charge of the future of Marvel and the X-Men. It's a great day. It's a groovy day. Folks, thank you for coming our way. The job here to keep you ahead of the culture curve. As we dive into the latest headlines, often before the drive-by journalists get a sniff of it, all we ask is that you click the like button. Big time conversation on the way. Sony and its Spider-Man director, well, they're striking back at Disney and Kevin Feige for things Kevin Feige has been claiming, aka he's the man in charge of this movie. Get ready, folks. Shots have been fired, and in the way that Sony can. They don't want to have a huge blow up, but they are definitely pushing back. Why? Well, you can see it right here. The Monday for Spider-Man was just as good as the weekend, and now Spider-Man has a worldwide box office in only 4 days of more than $1 billion. If it has a 2.5x, it is in contention for beating Endgame, and if it goes beyond that, well, look out, it could be the biggest movie of all time at cinemas. Normally, we would put the caveat about inflation on here. We're not going to do that now because Spider-Man did this without IMAX, so it's doing it in legendary mode. Now, what may have ruffled the feathers over at Sony and with the people who made Spider-Man is this interview with Variety, Kevin Feige. We've covered this, but we're going to bring it back to your attention, and then we're going to dive into what Sony had to say about this in the last few hours. Rebecca Rubin writing, Kevin Feige on Brand New Day, breaking records, Sadie Sink's reveal, and Tom Holland getting a restful victory lap before a potential Spider-Man 5. All right, here's what it says. Kevin Feige can't stop breaking his own box office benchmarks.
Oh my God.
Yes. So he's, and it lists out that he has the top 4 films, 2 of which were made by Sony. But he gets to claim 4 of them, okay? Now, we've already read this last night. I'm not going to read it again.
He's listed as a producer. I mean, we got to give him that caveat.
Marvel Studios is the production company because the way that this works, so you can't really fault them for that.
No, you can't.
Isn't it a joint between Marvel Studios and Pascal?
Not really.
Yes and no.
Well, yes and no. Pascal is kind of her own thing.
Yeah.
The only reason she's involved is
always on it.
Yeah, the only reason she's involved is because when back in the day when she was with Sony, she had signed herself in somehow into some contract where she is a producer on Spider-Man movies until probably the end of time, for all we know. Mm-hmm. So she is part of this as baggage no matter what. On the other end, like as far as I know,
how that happened. And Pro maybe knows this already, but the way that happened was basically that Amy Pascal knew that she was out the door. Kaz Hirai at Sony had already instructed this deal is going to happen. Yeah. Feige didn't know that Kaz Hirai had instructed that this deal is going to happen, make it happen. So basically, my understanding is that Amy Pascal framed it to Feige that, okay, look, forget everything that happened before. I will grant you this deal right here and now in this very meeting. We can walk out from here with you having Spider-Man. We can have the press conference, everything you know. But for that to happen, you have to take care of me. You have to make it a Marvel insistence that my company, Pascal Productions, always be employed in this thing here as a favor to me, for me to sign this over to you right now. Okay, done deal. So it's actually at Marvel insistence that Pascal Productions is there because that was basically Amy's insurance package. She doesn't have to do anything. She can just sit back and collect money. She's a passive producer. Of course, I'm sure she loves to be there on set, claim some credit.
She took credit for Tom Holland. She did pick him.
She did pick him. That was the Holland choice. Feige wanted someone else. I forget who, but it was the runner-up choice that Feige actually wanted.
Was it Asa Butterfield?
I don't remember who it was either, but she picked Andrew or Tom out of the bunch, and she picked Andrew as far as that goes too.
Yes, she did both of those.
But yeah, so she's been involved with Spider-Man since back when, so that's the whole thing there. And yeah, like I mean, part of the reason we got confirmation on our reporting on this is because in our reporting was a funny story about when they met up for the first time about this meeting. I'm going to try to keep this as PG as possible. it was Amy Pascal herself who confirmed this part of the story, pretty much confirming the rest of it. On their first meeting, she threw a sandwich at him and told him to get the F out of her office.
Well, that's pleasant.
Threw a sandwich at Feige?
She threw a sandwich at Feige, yes. And she confirmed this in an interview after the fact. And we're like, wait a minute, she actually did that? Like
we had reported it.
That lady
Sounds lovely.
She did not want to do this. So yeah, then she got the call down that this is going to happen, whether you like it or not. Make it happen.
You know, I hope it was. I hope it was not an egg salad or tuna fish sandwich. Those are,
we don't know.
Salami's much better.
It was. But that being said, then basically when Tom Rothman took over, let's be real. Tom Rothman has made it no secret that he does not give a crap about tights and capes. He hates superheroes. Literally said it himself. So he doesn't understand it, doesn't like it. He is more than happy to let Disney take this thing over, right? And if you haven't seen, he's said it a couple times now. He's done with this Morbius universe crap, right?
Well, he should be.
And that's where I don't know what's going on behind the scenes here. As far as I know, what Andre said is Marvel Studios. That's why I said it kind of works as its own kind of entity, because they just basically deliver the picture. Sony pays 50%. They pay 50%, and they split it down the line now, as far as I know. Because it used to be like a 60 or 70 40 60 40 70 30 split, and then they could only have one character per movie per thing. Now that's totally changed. So yeah,
the figure that I heard, Tom, was that Disney puts up 25% of the budget, and they make 25% first dollar off of what
Profit.
Sony makes.
That's the old deal. See, I think the new deal is 50-50.
Well, here's what we've got a variety. It says they did take the chance
specifically on that.
They did take the opportunity to throw one difficult question at Feige. They said, with some of the recent misses, though, it feels like audiences are getting tired of more of the same story. Do you agree? It says, many things can be true at once. I think last year's Fantastic Four looked and sounded like nothing that had been done in a superhero movie before, and it only grossed $521 million. Brand New Day is very directly a part 4. It picks up right after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, and yet it tells a story that resonates. It's ultimately about loneliness and the dangers of staying in our apartments by ourselves, looking at our phones, that resonates across cultures and across the globe right now. So Feige comes out and basically says, based right here on this, Brand New Day is very directly a part 4. He basically says Fantastic Four performed less than Spider-Man because Fantastic Four was an original from this version of the MCU, and Brand New Day has all of this momentum behind it. Okay. That's
he also admitted there that Fantastic Four was a flop.
Yeah.
Pretty much. He didn't defend it. Then it says, what does the excitement for Brand New Day mean for Doomsday in December? For Avengers, Doomsday, and X-Men, it bodes very well. When a shared universe works, these are the results. Now, whether it's Sony or whether it is the director or whether it is maybe Tom Holland kind of pushing this, because Tom Holland has taken a lot of credit, and I think rightly so, coming out and claiming that he helped write this movie. In fact, we've heard that Tom Holland has done some significant rewrites. Tom Holland has said that he did significant rewrites. Tom Holland has named the writer that was personally there when Tom Holland and Zendaya felt like a scene wasn't working. That writer would rewrite scenes at night and give it back to them to reshoot the next day. Tom Holland had a ton of creative control. The director had a ton of creative control. And so whoever is pushing back on Feige, it's happening, and it's happening through the conduit that is the director. Here's what it says from the wrap. Inside Spider-Man Brand New Day, director Destin Daniel Cretton's record-breaking Bittersweet Weekend. Drew Taylor writing this, the director opens up to the wrap about having a hit movie and a canceled TV show in the same week, both from Marvel Studios. Now, the movie is under Sony. The TV show is under Disney. Now, here's what it says. Oh, no, it's blocked. They've blocked it. Start a 2-week trial? Nay, I say. That's okay. Folks, I'll just tell you what's in the article, and we'll pull it up on X in a second. What we find out in this article, and I'll get it on X in just a minute, is that this was a call by the director. This was a call by Tom Holland to get Sadie Sink in and to have Jean Grey. This was not part of some sort of giant roadmap that this wasn't a Marvel decree. You've got to include Jean Grey. We're starting up the X-Men. This is going to be great. This was literally the folks in the movie petitioned Marvel, the MCU, and said, we want Jean Grey. We want Jean Grey to be played by Sadie Sink. We need permission to do this because it's going to be interconnected with your new X-Men stuff. Can we do this? The folks behind this movie are the ones who made the move on Jean Grey and Sadie Sink, and that's going to have a huge impact, maybe for decades, on the direction of the MCU. Marv, as I get that ready to go, your thoughts on the idea that the people at the movie are the ones who did this? not Kevin Feige, not the leadership in Marvel.
Yeah, that's actually what I've heard as well. Like going back a ways, I had heard that the one demand that Sony had was we want an Avenger and we want an X-Man in this movie. Was that they wanted both of those things. So yes, this was Sony. If Kevin Feige's trying to take credit for that, then that's a whole load of crap. I've been talking for pretty much the entire week about how this victory, yes, Disney is going to make money on it, and from what I'm tracking right now, I think with this making $1 billion based on the 25% that I believe that Disney makes off of this, they've already made more money off of this movie that they didn't make than they made off Captain America: Brave New World and the Marvels, and probably will make more money than most of the Phase 5 and 6 movies by the time all this is said and done. But this is also a major embarrassment for Disney, because at the end of the day, if I'm the Disney executives, I'm turning to Kevin Feige right now and being like, why can you do this for them and you can't do this for us in our own studio when we make 100% of the money? And so now for Sony to be like, yeah, well, the big thing was us, that's just taking more of this away from Kevin Feige, taking more of this away from Disney. I absolutely think there's a little bit of a tug of war going on right here. And at the end of the day, remember, this movie just overcame Avengers Endgame's record for largest domestic opening of all time, with $360 million beating out the $357 million. The record book is not going to say Sony parentheses with Disney. It's just going to say Sony. So they've basically handed their major box office record to Sony. Disney's now lost that.
Well, let me ask you about that.
It's not going to say Marvel Studios. That's
I also think. Are you sure it's not going to say Marvel Studios? Because most people, most audiences, they see this and they think Marvel. They're not like only within Hollywood will anyone be thinking Hollywood. Or sorry,
I don't know. I think Spider-Man is very synonymous with Sony at this point.
Maybe to geeks, but I got to agree with Andre on this. The normies, they don't know the difference. They don't care.
So let me ask you guys, though, and anybody weigh in on this. The reason so when this guy comes out and says this, he doesn't have to say it, right? He doesn't have to explain what happened. He doesn't have to take credit for it. This Destin Daniel Cretton, the director, he's saying it was not a mandate. It was a request. We asked to put Jean Grey in this. We asked to bring Jean Grey into the MCU. We asked to cast it as Sadie Sink. We did this, not anybody else. I wonder, guys, because if you separate the Sony and the Disney stuff for just a minute, this is a guy who found out on his opening weekend, and this is why I think there might be bad blood. This guy opens the biggest domestic opening ever, and at the same exact time, Disney announces they're canceling his show, Wonder Man. Disney didn't have to do that on the same weekend that he opens this movie. And it makes me wonder, is there a little bit of bad blood? And is this guy pushing back now saying, you know what? I'm the one who did this. I'm the one who came up with this idea. It works because of me. It works because of Tom Holland. And Wonder Man, of course, was well received. Might not have had great views, but canceled by Feige and Disney and Dana Walden. I just wonder, do you guys think there might be a little bit of a conflict here between the director, who's going to be the director of one of the biggest movies of all time, and the guys at the MCU?
Well, don't forget, this is also the director of Shang-Chi.
Right. But
that's a good
he's
point.
The director of Shang-Chi and of Wonder Man. So there's a mixed bag there. But now he can write his own ticket, right? The director of Tron Legacy was just some guy, and then he was Joseph Kosinski. I look at this and I wonder if this guy stays with the MCU in any way at this point. I bet he'll work with Tom Holland again. Say that.
I think you guys bring an interesting point. That's where I see this now. Is I'm wondering if he's kind of more or less upset that his show got canceled,
or that it was announced while he's supposed to be having his parade.
Exactly. This is kind of. I mean, I'm not saying that they didn't because to me it kind of comes off like, oh wow, you did this while the biggest movie I just directed for you guys is out now. That's pretty low of you. But again, it may be because he's decided that he's gonna go somewhere else after this. We don't know. As far as I get it, he asked, they requested, but who had to sign off?
Right. Well, Marvel has to sign off if it's going to be a character they're going to use down the road.
Exactly. So I mean, I get where he's coming from, but to me, it's like you're kind of making a big to do about something that, actually I wouldn't take credit for it, to be honest with you, because it's the worst part of the movie.
You didn't like Jean Grey And Sadie,
I got to agree with a lot of people. It's not the character, it's not the actress. I agree with a lot of people. They did not handle her. That's my biggest complaint about the film. Is all you needed is one scene at the end with Yelena going like, "Look, you got to go to either a supermax prison or you got to go to this school for special gifted kids, and you're under the custody of Professor Xavier. One or the other. Make your choice."
You know, that would have been a great,
cleaned things up a lot, lot, because I mean, she did a lot of crap in that movie that Punisher couldn't even do. Right?
Yeah.
Like I don't even want to get into specifics because of the PG nature of the show, but like that's the thing is like, frankly, I wouldn't take credit for it because it's kind of one of the
it is the
film.
It is a mistake in the film's writing is that she gets away with some things that are awful. I mean, it looks like she killed a guy at least.
I'm just gonna say, because this is a movie that people actually want to see. With most Marvel movies, we're fine spoiling day one because they're garbage.
Yeah.
And two, I haven't seen this. I'm not going to see it until tomorrow. So do me a favor. It's okay. A lot of this comes out by cultural osmosis anyways, but let's not spoil this for anybody who might want to tune out because they now have a hot movie on their hands, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I without spoiling it, I will say I actually do agree with Tom. The more I thought about the movie since it came out, the more I'm realizing that they kind of give Jean the WandaVision send off with the you'll never know what they'll never know what you sacrificed for them or something like that. So yeah, I think that some consequences may have helped. But yeah, I think that basically, I think this was him trying to be like, they're not telling us what to do in terms of that we had to put Jean. Because I think one of the things is like, oh, well, Marvel just insisted that they put Jean in the movie. And I think this is the director being just like, no, I wanted this in the movie. We requested it and they said yes. So I think the only thing that Marvel was like, we have to do this was Yelena. Because that is just
and it doesn't fit. Like it just comes out of nowhere.
It's like the post Endgame MCU like comes to visit.
Right. She comes on to make the joke about these are small potatoes. I deal with big potatoes, and it's like you don't deal with big potatoes. This is a $2 billion film. You're a guest star in the biggest brand on the planet. You got no potatoes. What are you talking about? Get your dang spuds out of here.
Halfway disrespecting the guy who can take on the Hulk for Pete's sake, but yeah. So probably arguably one of the most strongest superheroes in the superhero.
Yep. Right. So, Andre, let me give you the final word on this. This kicks off the era of the X-Men. It's all in on the X-Men. What are your thoughts on whether or not Marvel can actually, launch something again? They don't have Perlmutter. They don't have some of the voices that were there before. They don't have, one would presume, Jon Favreau, who launched the MCU. This is whatever people want to call it. If they want to call it a reboot, if they don't want to call it a reboot, I don't care. They're going into an era where this is all about Spider-Man and X-Men. For all intents and purposes, this is a new MCU. Can they do it? Do they have anybody there who can get this right? No. And is Tom Holland maybe, the integral part of it?
Yeah, I think he is. I think that integral parts right now are Tom Holland, Ryan Reynolds, and honestly also John Bernthal. Because many people responded very, very well to his Punisher, even though I, as a Punisher fan, was not a fan of it. But hey, he was one of the highlights of the movie. Everyone thinks so. But the big problem here is behind the scenes, right? And you see this in how desperate Kevin Feige is trying to grab some credit. I don't know why, because everything he has done for the past 5 years, 6 years, 7 years now has been a massive failure. Just look at last year. Fantastic Four. A failure. Thunderbolts, a failure. Everything else a failure. The one thing that wasn't a failure, or two things that weren't failures, was Deadpool and Wolverine, which was a massive, massive hit. Ryan Reynolds production, team Ryan Reynolds. Kevin Feige fought against it the entire time.
That's right.
And Spider-Man No Way Home. Same exact deal as this thing right here. While Feige deserves some credit there, there's other people there as well. That was such a rushed thing that you can't really just claim full credit on it. And what Feige can claim full credit for is one disaster after another and nothing else. And indeed, what's the worst part of this movie? Well, it's Sadie Sink. It's Sadie Sink getting the WandaVision thing. Who does that echo again? Kevin Feige. This is the problem. This is the guy who is then going to restart the X-Men. And yeah, he was there for the original X-Men because he was the personal assistant of Lawrence Schuler-Donner, who was the producer of that over at Fox. I mean, that's a coincidence, but that's how he first started out. Then he was nabbed by Avi Arad because he impressed him and stuff. But does he have the know-how to do the X-Men and make that successful all on his own? I don't think so. The problem is that, I mean, he has to swallow his ego, and he has to accept that he can't do this on his own. And the team of yes men that he used to replace everyone that would challenge him hasn't worked. Because if it had worked, Fantastic Four should have been a huge hit. Thunderbolt should have been a huge hit. And for all the people who are saying that last year's Superman from James Gunn, a movie has issues of its own, but like talking about how much it underperformed internationally it did better than any Kevin Feige movie that year.
Yeah. Well, and then there's the other side of it where, you know, people are asking him about, you know, the buildup for Doomsday, and he's like, well, there was no real buildup for Thanos. I'm like, are you kidding?
That's the dumbest thing.
That was the dumbest thing ever said. And it's mainly him just trying to take credit back from James Gunn, of all people, believe it or not, because that's what it really was.
Honestly, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was gonna say, because for those who may not know, when it happened, when James Gunn signed on to do the Guardians of the Galaxy, he asked what the plan was, and Kevin Feige's like, I don't know.
Well, sorry, we're Kathleen Kennedying this thing over here. What are you talking about?
Star Wars this thing here. Right. And he's like, no. You got to have a plan. He's like, well, at least I got to have a plan. Otherwise, I can't plan a trilogy. So Kevin said, okay, go ahead and do what you want. And James sat down and he mapped out basically from Guardians of the Galaxy all the way up through Endgame. And this is part of the reason why Andre and I have said on paper, James Gunn was the best person to pick to run DC. Now, we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But that being said...
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, that was where it was. Is because he had just threw a map in there, and he's like, "Here, this is what we got to do to get there." Yeah,
I'll throw one more in here from the early MCU. Zach Stentz talks about the writing of Thor and how they were trying to figure out how to. They wanted to put in more connective tissue than they were originally being allowed. So they actually went in and they pushed for Phil Coulson to be in that movie, which actually laid the groundwork for the Avengers.
It did, yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people say Iron Man 2 was the one that paved the way. No, you look at how much context shift was in that Thor movie there for the entire MCU. It was the necessary step to get to Avengers. So
when you look at what they did with the Thanos thing, where he was bashing it, that was the modern MCU. What we see on the screen playing out before our eyes from the head of the company, which shows you where it comes from, because they were tearing down something that you love in order to prop up something that they want you to love. And that is the modern MCU in a nutshell.
There's a point in this movie too, now that we're talking about this, and I wonder, is there, you know, some division, and you know, Tom Holland's help writing this, and you got Creedon as the director. There's a point in the movie where they mock Thanos and the whole, like, they take a moment to laugh at it and be like, what? That whole plot point didn't make sense at all. Could have just made more food. And then, you know, there's an awkward pause in the movie. It's a very meta joke. It reminds me actually of Deadpool and Wolverine, where Wolverine comes in and Deadpool says, you're coming in at a low point for us. You know, and it's like,
That's actually a brilliant thing. And that only goes to show that could never have happened were it not for that movie was developed under not Iger, but under Chapek.
That's right.
It's a Chapek production.
Handed off to Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds and said, you guys do what you want.
No, but I love that.
It trashed the entire multiverse saga.
Yes.
And what do? They go straight back into it.
It's also funny that they thought that was the low point. Like, no, we can go lower, guys.
Wait till Ironheart.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Who nobody watched that, so that's not a low point. Nobody watched. It's like if a tree falls in the woods kind of thing.
You think this is low?
No, but I love that scene that Pro was talking about. That's all I was going to say, is because it was like they literally were just sitting there listening to us on a stream and going, "Okay, we just got to put all this into a scene."
Tom Holland says he sat and listened to podcasts. He got online. He looked at forums. He read everything. He wanted to know what the fans want. Does not shock me if that's the thing that Tom said. Hey, we got to talk about this because it doesn't make any sense.
WDW Pro.
Who knows?
Honestly, it
I'm
seems
about
like
to-
they must have been paying attention. I mean, a good 75 to 80% of this movie, the reason why it's resonating so well, like, make no mistake about it, we may have said the few negative things we have, but there's already so many positives about it to where it's probably my second favorite Spider-Man movie of all time.
And it's my favorite.
What's
Do you
your
like
favorite?
you like No Way Home better?
Who, me?
I-
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about Toby's first movie, the Sam Raimi
Okay.
first
Yeah,
movie,
yeah,
as far as I'm concerned, is up there. Like,
Yeah.
I love Spider-Man 2. There's only one issue I have with it, and this movie kind of fixes that. And that's when he loses his powers. It's just because he psychs himself out. I always hated that.
Yeah.
To me, it just felt stupid. At least here, they kind of give you a reason why it's happening. So, yeah.
Folks, there you go. Let us know what you think about Spider-Man and whether or not there may be a rift growing between Kevin Feige's vision or lack thereof and those who say, hey, we got to do something here. Let's get a plan going for the future of the MCU. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, and that means you are a true pal of Pro. Thank you so much for watching the entire thing, ladies and gentlemen. And we ask that you consider clicking that like button. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And remember, folks, we've got more content yet on the way. The drive-bys can't handle what we have to say, but we never stop, not for a minute, because we want to win it for you. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.